Hi, I'm Ralf Friedrichs. Welcome to Grand Central Station. The train to be here any minute, so if you're ready to get your life back on track, hop aboard. Let's go to www.clearviews.info, where I'll show you how a sober today can make a better tomorrow. If you're ready to get your life back on track, hop aboard the train coming in about 2 minutes. Thank you, and have a great day. www.clearviews.info. Hello, my name is Ralf Friedrichs and I'm from clearreform.com. If you feel lost out here in this busy city, reach out to me at 844-405-HELP and I can help you get your life back. Go to clearreform.com and I will help you get your life back. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ralf Friedrichs and welcome to Clear Reform, where I will help you take your life back. Before we get into today's preview, I want everyone to please hear my short bio. In 2011, at the age of 49, I started feeling much more mature. I started thinking differently, getting rid of old habits, and wanted to make positive changes in my life. However, the positive changes could not happen until the gates of demons were closed and closed permanently. I choose to call my gates of demons rock bottom. In 2013, those gates were closed by me from any alcohol or any other substance. Not only closed, but I padlocked them. I realized I was a functioning alcoholic. For the most part, I was able to deal with everyday's activity. I isolated myself from others and now want to be the person I never let myself be. I had to face sobriety, life without alcohol use, and lifestyle I created around it. Now that I see things much clearly, drinking is not even an option. It would be too painful to even start again. I now have learned from the past, left it behind. I'm moving forward, and intentionally I created a positive future. Part of that future is educating myself continuously about my disease, how to live with it, and how to help others like you. I want to help others see, feel, experience sobriety like I feel daily. Life without alcohol and drugs is a meaningful life. As I approach different addiction educational methods, videos became a passion. Videos give me and you a face to look at, a voice to hear, and a story to tell. My story will continue through the camera into your living room, into your kitchen, or wherever you might be looking. Join me in the fight of the lifetime. Together, we will all stand tall and sober. Thank you very much, and like I said, the next preview presentation is to follow this program, and I want everyone to remember that a sober today makes a better tomorrow. Let me, Ralf Friedrichs, be your certified recovery coach and help you take your life back. Thank you. Hello folks, my name is Ralf Friedrichs. I just want to share my story with my situation back in 1981 in the United States Marine Corps. I was sitting in a chapel during boot camp and a chaplain tapped me on the shoulder and asked me to come into his quiet room. As I was walking into his quiet room, I had no idea what he wanted from me. It was then that God was setting my life in motion. So the chaplain sat me down and he says, Ralf, I've noticed that you like to help people, you motivate people, you're always walking around with a smile. And I wanted to know, and this is the chaplain saying this to me, I wanted to know, Ralf, would you like to volunteer and become a lay leader? And of course, I had no idea what a lay leader was. So he explained to me what a lay leader was. It's somebody that is a liaison between the recruits and the chaplain. So when the recruits have issues, problems, or anything like that, they go to the lay leader and, they go to the chaplain as the lay leader to let the chaplain know of the situations that are happening. It was then, in 1981, that God already had a plan for me, and when there from that point on was that God realized that no matter how long it would take for me to achieve what God already knew what was going to happen to me, He would let me go down into the worst extremes in life. So from 1981, as a lay leader, and I'm going to show you the medal now with a lay leader, the front and the back. This is the back of the metal, and then the front looks like this. So in 1981, at Paris Island, South Carolina, when I became a lay leader, God already had my life set in motion. But again, He wanted me to set my own course in life. So I went down the years and the course of my life and did some of the worst things possible to my own body through alcoholism. God already said to Himself, well, I'm going to wait for Ralph to get close to hitting rock bottom. So from 1981 until 2011, which is 30 years, God came to me again and He said, Ralph, are you ready to continue helping other people? That's when I formed Mastic Beach Outreach 2011, and what that was is for older people and mentally and physically challenged people, that my wife and I would help them by giving them clothing, food, possibly, like in one case, tires for someone's car. And so God said, okay, he is getting better, but he's still not ready to do what I really wanted him to do. So in 2011, I continued my alcoholism to the point of 10 to 15 shots a day. As time went further, two years down the road, it became worse and worse with my alcoholism. In 2013, God finally put His big hand on my head and says, are you ready now? That is when I hit rock bottom. June 22nd, 2013, I reached out and I finally admit that I had an alcohol problem. It was then when God lifted me up and set my life in motion for today, September 2nd, 2014. So from 2013 until 2014, I continue educating myself and you, others, through my websites, through my videos on how to battle with addiction. And God saw this, and He said to Himself, Ralph is still continuing helping people. So in between 2013 and 2014, as time was going by, and I proved to God that I was really reforming myself, that God introduced me to Dr. Luis Gonzalez. I had been toying with the idea about becoming a substance abuse counselor until I ran into an article about recovery coaching. So I thought it was very ironic that God had planted Dr. Luis Gonzalez from Starting Point, that's StartingPointmn.com, 844-414-8444, into my life. Dr. Luis Gonzalez gave me the educational programming to turn me into a recovery coach. So while I was training for Dr. Luis Gonzalez to become a recovery coach, and today, my father comes from South Carolina to visit, and we're looking at my shrine, which my wife calls a shrine, which is all my Marine Corps ribbons and medals. And my father asked me, Ralph, what is this medal for? What is this particular medal for? And I then said to myself, here's where it all came together. I finally realized what that medal stood for and how it influenced me in my life. It was back in 1981 that God knew already that I would eventually, towards the middle or 60% of my life, be out to help other people, to continuously help people, to motivate people, to coach people. So it was from 1981 to 2011 that I ran my life to the ragged ends, to the pit of the worst. And then from 2011 to 2013, even worse than that. And then June 22nd, 2013, finally helped myself up with the grace of God, and in 2014 became an addiction recovery coach. And all that epiphany came to me due to my father asking me what this stood for. This particular silver medal, when he asked me that, it all finally came together, that God had bigger and better plans for me. And this is what I'm telling you, folks. There is a plan for you. No matter what the plan might be, you don't know what it is, but there is a plan for you. It's just a matter of you figuring it out. So why don't you let me help take your life back? Thank you. God bless you, and have a sober day. Good morning. My name is Ralf Friedrichs, and welcome to Take Your Life Back. Yesterday we talked about rock stars and singers and their issues with drugs, whether they overcame the drugs or they are still using drugs, or they have passed due to the drugs. Today we're going to talk about athletes and how athletes and drugs just don't mix. It's a losing game for everyone. And we are going to talk about that today. I just want to also quickly give a shout out to Dr. Luis Gonzalez at Starting Point, and his website is www.startingpointmn.com. That's startingpointmn.com. He has two entities to his business. The first entity being, if you are seeking recovery, you need to have that path between addiction and recovery. You can seek him, and his phone number is 844-414-8444. Now, if you want to become a addiction coach and you have passion, professionalism, and personality, and possibly some background in addiction, whether it being yourself or someone in your family that you've helped, and you just feel that the helping of others is a passion of yours, give him a call at 844-414-8444, and that's Dr. Luis Gonzalez at startingpointmn.com. As far as my websites, I have www.clearviews.info, that's CLEARVIEWS.info. That particular website has lots of information on addiction and recovery. A lot of information comes from doctors, psychiatrists, and psychologists. They're the ones that clinically and medically advise on different issues. So I put that on my website for you, and then you have about 52 videos of mine. All my videos are educational. They can range anywhere from domestic abuse to just drugs, just alcohol, combination of both, prescription drug abuse, just regular drug abuse, just regular alcohol abuse, etc. The list goes on. Celebrities, athletes, it just goes on. So go to www.clearviews.info. If you're looking to become between addiction and recovery, if you're looking for a road, a path between that, I can become the bridge between addiction and recovery. You just walk across that bridge. What you need to do is go to www.clearreform. The reform stands for reformation, transformation. I can help you change from your addicted issues to your recovery issues. That's clearreform.com. That's CLEARREFORM.com. You can reach me at 844-405-HELP. 844-405-HELP. You can reach me also on Facebook. I have two pages, clearviews.info and Clear Reform. We also have now, I was initially designing a closed group for Clear Reform, but now I have decided to open that group up to the public, because I think if we get more people and more feedback into our group, that would benefit everyone concerned. And why design it to be closed? Because honestly, addiction for alcohol and or drugs is not a closed situation. It's open, and it's open to anyone. It could be even open to you, because you might be addicted, or you might have a alcohol issue at hand. I know I have an addiction. I've learned to live with that addiction. That makes the big difference. It's you learn to live with it, and your life does go on even when you have a disease like myself, which is alcoholism. And what is it that you have? Do you have a drug issue? Do you have an alcohol issue? A lot of different addictions out there, gambling issues. The list just goes on. So let's jump into this. And what this is I picked out, I believe, about 10 athletes and some articles from the Mayo Clinic on the types of drugs that they're utilizing and why are they utilizing. So these names are not the most popular names or the least popular. It's just the names that I came up with while I was just doing my research. And the top of our list is Doc Ellis. He is best known for pitching a no-hitter in 1970 and later admitting of being under the influence of LSD. Let me just move this so I can see this a little better. Hold on one second. Throughout the game. So he was under LSD throughout the game. His name is Doc Ellis. I believe he was on Pittsburgh Pirates. Ellis hadn't realized he was scheduled to start that day, and he took the medication prior to the game. Despite walking 8 batters, Ellis managed to keep the San Diego Padres hitless that afternoon. Okay, so it's not Pittsburgh Pirates. It was the Padres. I apologize. I thought it was Pittsburgh. Maybe he did play on Pittsburgh at one time. But he is Doc Ellis, and he took LSD right before game, not realizing that he had a game that day. Possibly he didn't realize he was having a game because he was still high from the night before. I'm not saying that's what happened, but it's a possibility. Next one is a very well-known name, and for you New York audience, and possibly also for Florida audience, Darryl Strawberry. He can hit those homers. I'm going to read what it says. At the age of 29, Darryl Strawberry had notched 280 career home runs and was destined for the Hall of Fame. But Strawberry's struggles with alcohol and cocaine ruined a once promising career and his Cooperstown resume. Strawberry received multiple suspensions from Major League Baseball after positive drug testing for cocaine. So you can see that his life or his career went down the drain because of this. He also experienced trouble with the law after numerous arrests, eventually led him up to 18-month prison sentence for probation violations. Strawberry, a 4-time World Series champion, is just another casualty of the drugs and alcohol's devastating potential for Cooperstown-worthy baseball career possibilities. He had everything going for him. I remember seeing on the news when he was standing in front of the judge in his orange, what do they call it, the prison suit. When you started this video, you saw some pictures of all these athletes, and I believe one of those pictures is Darryl Strawberry in his orange suit with a long microphone and handcuffs. It just goes to show you the alcohol and drug addiction doesn't, and the demons, they don't care if you're poor, if you're rich, if you're famous, or if you're not. If it can, it will absorb you and suck you right into its disease. But it's you that has to learn how to fight the disease. You need to learn the steps to do it, which is 24 hours a day. That is where Starting Point with Dr. Luis Gonzalez and myself come in hand amongst millions of other people that are out there. We're going to talk different methods in a little while. Let's go to the next one. Derek Bogard. He was a hockey player, NHL hockey player. His main role in the NHL, besides his skills for hockey, was an enforcer. He established himself as one of the most feared enforcers in the NHL during the time with the Minnesota Wild and New York Rangers. During the 2008 and 2009 season, Bogard began taking prescription pain relief medicine for back pain for a previous injury. After multiple surgeries, Bogard was able to obtain prescriptions to multiple pills, including Percocet, Vicodin, and Oxycodone. Bogard developed an addiction to the pain medication, and prior to 2009-2010 season, his team sent him to Southern California to attend drug rehab center. Bogard continued to struggle with the addiction and eventually lost his battle after he accidentally overdosed from oxycodone and alcohol that led to his death in May of 2011. I remember this guy. He was huge. And, you know, the New York Islanders, we had big fighters like Clark Gillies and Bobby Nystrom, but Bogard was big. And I do believe, and I could be wrong, and if I am wrong, somebody correct me, send me a text at 631-599-0218, but I believe he did a very short stay with the New York Islanders, very short. It wasn't more than maybe, not even a half a season. But text me if I'm wrong on that, or email me at clearreform@yahoo.com. That's CLEARREFORM@yahoo.com. Let's go right into the next one. This one is, again, a huge name. I believe he was one of the only people that either got 8 or 9 gold medals for swimming. And I remember growing up, Mark Spitz was the big swimmer. I remember that clearly during the Olympics. But this name you'll recognize, Michael Phelps. He was so well known for that one picture, and I believe I have that picture in the video that started this particular video, which is what I usually play now, which is pictures of people. So you have a face behind the names. In that one picture, which became very famous throughout the whole world, there's a picture of Michael Phelps sucking on a huge, and I'm talking about maybe a 2.5-foot bong. So anyway, Michael Phelps might have taken the most famous bong hit of all time. That's the picture I just spoke about. In 2009, after a photograph emerged of the Olympic swimmer taking a hit of marijuana from a bong, USA Swimming suspended Phelps for 3 months. The photograph stirred controversy throughout the world, and Kellogg's announced that they would not renew their endorsement deal with the 8-time gold medalist. So it is 8 medals. I thought it was 8 or 9, so it's 8. Okay. So Michael Phelps, pretty much with that one picture, besides the fact that he was probably on drugs anyway, ruined some endorsement. And my question to you folks, and again, email me with your answers or text me, what do you think about this possibility? Did he win those 8 medals because of the drugs? In other words, was he taking steroids, or did the drugs enhance his performance? CLEARREFORM at Yahoo or 631-599-0218. Let me know what your answers are, and maybe during the next show I can bring out some of your answers. If you want to leave your name, that's fine, but let me know if you don't mind if I announce your name on the air. If you do mind, just let me know, because I won't announce it then. I'll just give you a remark. Diego Maradona, huge professional soccer player, not huge as in size, but in performance. Diego was addicted to cocaine from the early 1980s up until 2004. Maradona, the Argentinian midfielder who is regarded by some as the best soccer player ever, right up there with Pele, suffered serious health consequences because of his drug use. Following a cocaine overdose in 2004, Maradona suffered a myocardial infarction and was admitted into intensive care for over a week. During his playing career, Maradona failed multiple drug tests and was suspended 3 times from playing soccer. In 2007, the legend claimed to have been clean for cocaine for over 2 years. And you know what? I hope to God that is true. The worst thing is for someone like myself to sit in front of a camera or be a sports figure or a celebrity and say that I've been clean, but really hasn't. I've always said this, and I'll say this again. There is no shame if you have a problem to admit it. There's a bigger shame if you have a problem and you're admitting to taking care of that problem when you're really not. Tennis player Andre Agassi. Do you remember? I believe he at one time was married to Brooke Shields, then also to Steffi Graf. One of the most dominant tennis players of our generation admitted in 2009 autobiography that he frequently used crystal meth during his career. After failing a drug test for amphetamines in 1997, Agassi admits in his book to writing an ATP a letter where he claimed the usage to be accidental. From what I understand, and I read this letter, so I honestly I can't print everything up, but what he wrote in the letter is that his trainer spiked his own drinks, not Agassi's drinks, but the trainer's own drinks. He spiked it, and with crystal meth. And Agassi was thirsty one day and decided to take his trainer's drink and drink something real quick. And from that point on, became addicted. Take that information and do whatever you want with it. Only Andre Agassi knows the truth behind that. Whatever the reason is, he still became addicted. Now, a lot of people like Bobby Brown blames Whitney Houston. That was in yesterday's edition, that it was because of Whitney Houston's cocaine addiction that he became addicted. Folks, I will tell you this. You are responsible for your own actions. Whatever your childhood did to you, as you grow older, you need to break out of that and become a better person, a more well-balanced person. If Andre Agassi accidentally drank crystal meth from his trainer's drink and became addicted to it, take responsibility and say that you, meaning Andre Agassi, you have a problem. People are always looking to put the blame and point the finger at somebody else for their own failures or their own setbacks in life. Josh Hamilton was the first overall pick in 1999 by the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, but his major league debut was delayed for 8 years after issues with drugs and alcohol derailed his baseball career. The eventual 2010 AL MVP made several attempts at rehab, but it was not until 2008 that he was able to cope with his addiction and start making a living by driving baseballs into the seats. Huge home run hitter. The outfielder struggled to pass drug tests for years and was faced with several suspensions by the Major League Baseball. From 2004 to 2006, Hamilton did not play baseball at all. Hamilton's recovery has been well documented, and his teammates are mindful of his journey. Rather than celebrating division titles and postseason series victories with champagne, the locker room gets sprayed down with ginger ale instead. And folks, that is what I call sportsmanship and team spirit. If you know that you have one of your team members either a drug or alcohol issues, it is so wonderful to hear a story like that, that his whole team came together as a team, as a community, and spray each other down with ginger ale. Why have that temptation of alcohol around someone that you know has an issue with it? Ricky Williams. Ricky Williams has become infamous for his outspoken infatuation with marijuana. Williams won the 1998 Heisman Trophy award in the University of Texas and left college football as an all-time leading rusher. Williams was busted by the NFL 4 times for violating the league's substance abuse policy. Ricky has been bouncing around between the NFL and the CFL, which is, I believe, the Canadian Football League, and retirement for almost a decade now that he has still had difficulty evading his reputation for being a stoner. Ricky Williams might be the only person ever to combine being a running back, a vegan, and a yoga instructor, and a pothead all in one. He had many hats to fill. There's no denying that the eccentric personality of Ricky Williams was entertaining, but one can't help but wonder how great football player like Williams would ever become if he had only stuck to being just a football player or just a yoga instructor. And if he would have just eliminated the drugs, he would have been huge, up there with the O.J. Simpsons, up there with all those big, huge names that we are so aware of. It's, again, the drugs and alcohol that sets a person back in life. Huge name again, Dwight Gooden, another New York Met, just like Darryl Strawberry. Dwight Gooden dominated the National League in the late 1980s with his powerful fastball and looping curveball, but his difficulties with drugs and alcohol undermined a great career. Gooden became the 3rd New York Mets pitcher to win the Cy Young Award in 1985 when he led the league in wins, earned runs, and strikeouts. In 1987, coming off the World Series title with the Mets, rumors of drug abuse were confirmed when Gooden tested positive for cocaine. Gooden was forced to enter a rehab center prior to 1987 season to avoid suspension, and despite missing 3rd of the regular season, Gooden still finished with 15 wins. Gooden continued to struggle with the drug abuse as he failed 2 drug tests from 1994 and was suspended for the entire season of 1995. The day following receiving the suspension, Gooden's wife found him in the bedroom with a loaded gun to his head. Gooden's run-ins with the law also continued. As recently as 2010, he was arrested for DWI with a passenger, which was a child, as well as leaving the scene of an accident in Franklin Lakes, New Jersey. Now, you notice how long that article was, because his story didn't end at a certain time. His drugs and alcohol abuse didn't end at a certain time. This is dating back only 4 years ago. So, not only did he have drug and alcohol issues, great career in baseball, suicidal issues, and child endangerment issues. It doesn't end for Dwight Gooden. And it doesn't end for anyone, including you, unless you end it yourself. And when I say you end it yourself, you have to hit rock bottom. You have to finally admit you have a problem. There is no one too huge to admit that you have an alcohol and or drug addiction. If all these celebrities and all these athletes finally can admit it, how can you not admit it? Because the only way for help is to start by saying, I have a problem and I need help. We're going to discuss all that in a little bit. There's one more on this particular list, and then we're going to go into some other statistics. Len Bias, he may be the best basketball player of all time had he ever reached professional level. The University of Maryland All-American died from cocaine overdose just 2 days after he was selected second overall in 1986 by the Boston Celtics. In 1988, U.S. Congress created the Len Bias Law, which enters stricter drug penalties and an expansion of the DARE program. So he never even, unfortunately, never even reached his potential. So those names, I'm going to go over them real quick. Doc Ellis, Darryl Strawberry, Derek Bogard, Michael Phelps, Diego Maradona, Andre Agassi, Josh Hamilton, Ricky Williams, Dwight Gooden, and Len Bias. Those are the names on there. Let's go. I want to read something that I found on the internet. And I'm going to read this. It's pretty far away, so hopefully I can see it. And unfortunately, I printed it in red, but here we go. If I could give you a pill that would make you an Olympic champion and also kill you in a year, would you take it? So I'm asking you, if I gave you a pill that guarantees you to be an Olympic champion, but possibility could kill you in a year, would you take it? Well, this doctor, Dr. Gabe Merkin, asked competitive runners that question in advance of the Washington, D.C. road race in 1967. This is a long time ago. Of the approximately 100 athletes who returned Merkin's questionnaire, more than half responded that they would take the pill. They would risk their life to become a world champion. Folks, if I asked out of my thousands in the audience, how many of you guys would be foolish enough to take a pill with a guaranteed championship, knowing that possibly you could die from it? Text me 631-599-0218 and let me know what you think. Email me at clearreform@yahoo.com. That's CLEARREFORM@yahoo.com. The prevalence of performance-enhancing drugs in sports has increased in the last 43 years. This is since the Merkin survey. A doctor and sports medicine expert handed out this survey. His name was Dr. Merkin. He set the stage on where people's thinking was already back in 1967, how drugs and athletes do not mix. It's a losing game. The desire to win is naturally ever-present, while at the same time new research technologies have expanded the number of options for cheating your way into a podium, steroids being one of the hugest what he chooses to call stealers. For example, today's performance-enhancing drugs come in many forms other than a pill. The cream and the clear testosterone-based ointment described by accused athletes in court testimony comes in mind. But the results they produce are still highly sought after. Professional cycling has been reportedly rocked by revelations and allegations of drug use. This is for bicycle riding or cycling. Every 2 years, as Olympic Games begin, we hear about athletes using at least being tested for performance-enhancing drugs. Major League Baseball is still trying to repair its image from the steroid era. We remember that. And the list just goes on. Some athletes get away with using drugs. Just like anything, some criminals get away with criminal acts. Others wind up suspended from their sport or even in jail. Folks, there's a couple of them on that list. Dwight Gooden, Darryl Strawberry. Let's see who else ended up. I think those are the only two that ended up in jail. Let's go back to this. And still others die prematurely. We got Len Bias. We have anyone else on that list? Nope, that is it. Okay. It's a risky and complex game within a game that plays itself out in the public stage. In this article, we'll discuss why some athletes take the drugs and the major classes of drugs and their side effects are, and how people test for the drug. Folks, what we're seeing, these names are only as impacted because of their reputation in the athletic world. If this was Ralf Friedrichs on the list and I overdosed, it wouldn't even matter. It's when you become famous, just like a politician, everything is out in the open. It's surfaced. I think if all athletes and all celebrities were on drugs and the rest of society wasn't, drug awareness and drug fighting would be huge because of that, because it would catch so much publicity. That's what happens. Why do some athletes use drugs? Athletes face enormous pressure to excel in competition. Now, wait till you hear this, because I read this a few times the other day. They also know that winning can reap them more than just a gold medal. A star athlete can earn a lot of money and a lot of fame, and athletes only have a short time to do it, up until maybe the age of 30. So between 19 and 30 is when they have to do that, and then that's when you see most of the drug abuse and alcohol abuse is happening, because they can't even, besides having to perform, it's the popularity that's pressured. So the drugs and alcohol relax them from that. Athletes know that training is the best path to victory, but they also get the message that some drugs and other practices can boost their efforts and give them a shortcut, even as they risk their health and their athletic careers. As far back as ancient Greece, athletes have often been willing to take any preparation that would improve their performance. Anything possible they would do to improve their performance, including taking drugs and alcohol, or abusing them, I should say. But it appears that drug use increased in the 1960s. Remember this survey? This was done in 67. That more than half of the people said they would rather take a pill that would guarantee them championship, but also possibility of having them die. Greece athletes have often been willing to make preparation that would improve their performance. It goes back years, folks. Athletes may also misuse drugs to relax, cope, and stress, or boost their own confidence. Athletes may have several reasons for using performance-enhancing drugs. An athlete may want to build mass and strength, may also increase delivery of oxygen in exercising tissues. So the drugs are just getting their whole system, accelerating the system. Mask the pain. Drugs help the athletes mask the pain, stimulate the body, relax, reduce weight, or hide the use of other drugs. Folks, the drugs and alcohol is just a camouflage. Your body is being ruined. All these athletes, if you look at on this list here, the ones that are still with us, if you look at that, these athletes, I'm sorry, let me just go back. I said before Len Bies was the only one that was that deceased, but I just realized Derek Bogard, the hockey player, is also deceased. But anyway, if you notice, when they hit their 30s, 35s, and 40s, how they age differently. Drugs and alcohol will make you age at a rapid pace. You look at, let's look at, for an example. Oh yeah, here we go. Dwight Gooden. Have you seen him lately? Have you seen O.J. Simpson lately? Have you seen Darryl Strawberry lately? They have aged 400% from maybe 20 years ago, because the drugs and alcohol accelerates everything in the body. Increase in oxygen on tissues. In addition to taking drugs and build mass and strength, some athletes take drugs to engage in practices that increase the amount of oxygen in tissues, including protein hormones, artificial oxygen carriers, and blood doping. Protein hormones, what are they? It's a naturally occurring protein hormone that is secreted by the kidneys during low oxygen conditions. EPO stimulates the bone marrow stem cells to make red blood cells, which increase the delivery of oxygen to the kidney. Endurance athletes, such as those who compete in marathons, cycling, or cross-country skiing, can use EPO to increase their oxygen supply by as much as 7 to 10%. That's for EPO. Building mass and strength. Mass and strength enhances drugs used by athletes include antibiotic steroids, beta-2 agonists, human growth hormone, that's HGH, insulin-like growth factor, IGF, and insulin. Masking the pain. Along with training and performing to the world-class athlete comes to the pain of all injuries. Sometimes athletes try to mask their injury pain with drugs including narcotics, protein hormones, and local anesthetics, stimulants, relaxants, and weight control. Many athletes live within strict social and directly guidelines. To cope with stress, general fatigue, and weight gain or loss, many athletes turn to stimulating, relaxing, and weight-controlling drugs. Stimulants. Stimulants are generally used to help athletes stay alert, reduce fatigue, and maintain aggressiveness. They act on the body to make their heart beat faster, the lungs breathe faster, and the brain work faster. Stimulants include caffeine, amphetamines, and cocaine. Possible side effects include nervousness, shaking, irregular heartbeat, high blood pressure, convulsions, and even sudden death. These athletes are taking this to control one or two other issues and creating double, triple more issues. What are relaxants? Relaxants come in various forms, including alcohol, prescription drugs, and beta blockers, and cannabinoids such as marijuana. Alcohol is commonly used to help people relax because it reduces activity in the brain and nervous system. While it may help the athlete relax and cope with the pressure of competition, it can also significantly impair mental functions, judgment, balance, coordination. It is restricted in the Olympics and banned altogether in certain events. What are beta blockers are commonly prescribed to treat high blood pressure by causing heart to slow down and blood vessels to relax. Athletes who require steady hands in competitions such as those competing in archery or shooting events may use them. Possible side effects include lower than normal blood pressure, hypertension, slow heart rate, and fatigue. Cannabinoids, mainly marijuana and hashish, have no clinical value but have recently been used for relieving pain in terminally ill cancer patients. Cannabinoids cause hallucinations, induce drowsiness, increase the heart rate, and impair mental function, judgment, balance, coordination, and memory. And the last, weight control. Diuretics are commonly prescribed to treat high blood pressure and are often found in diet pills. Diuretics act on kidney to increase the flow of urine. They are used by athletes whose events have weight restrictions, boxing, wrestling, sports like weightlifting, horse racing, rowing. Diuretics are also used to mask the use of other drugs because they increase the amount of urine produced. They dilute the concentration of other drugs in the urine. Possibly side effects include dehydration, dizziness, cramps, heart damage, and kidney failure. Folks, this was a long list, and we're going to recap on that again. You know, I'm overwhelmed every time I do these shows. Yesterday was rock stars and singers. Today, athletes. Tomorrow, celebrities. But on the good side of tomorrow's show, or the day after, no, it would be tomorrow because Thursday is Throwback Thursday. The good thing about tomorrow's show, these are celebrities, I believe 25 celebrities that have used and abused drug and alcohol, but have overcome it. That is the good news. They have overcome it. The good news is Ralf Friedrichs has abused alcoholism or alcohol, but has overcome it. The good news can be you watching when you finally say, I've had enough. When you reach out for help. When you can reach out to Starting Point, Dr. Luis Gonzalez at 844-414-8444, www.startingpointmn.com. Go to Starting Point. If you need help between addiction and recovery, reach out to him. Reach out to him, become an addiction coach. Reach out to me at www.clearreform.com if you want to get help between addiction and recovery. If you want to help me with my shows, reach out to me. Email me, clearreform@yahoo, CLEARREFORM@yahoo. Text me, 631-599-0218. Go to my Facebook, go to Twitter, go to Google, go to Dig, Yahoo. Find all my articles. They're all over the web. Folks, just reach out. We can all work together. We can work together as a community, because it's our community's lessons that will empower addiction recovery. It is the lessons of the Doc Ellises, the Darryl Strawberries, the Derek Bogarts, the Michael Phelps, the Diego Maradona, the Andre Agassiz, the Josh Hamiltons, Ricky Williams, Dwight Goodens, and Len Bias. Those lessons are empowering our addiction recoveries. The lessons from yesterday's rock stars and singers, the Elton Johns, the Whitney Houstons, John Lennon, Yoko Onos, Brian Wilson, Michael Jackson. All the lessons in our community, because our community is our world. It's not just the community that you live in, it's the world. It's our lessons that empower the addiction recovery. Folks, if you're ready to finally give up your fight, no, I shouldn't say that, because you're starting your fight. If you're finally willing to give up your abuse of alcohol and or drugs and increase your fighting ability, reach out. Find a method that works for you. It can be AA if that's a method you choose to take. AA has been around since 1936. They have the 12-step program. It's a program that's very set on a certain course, and it works for millions of people. I know one person that's been on it for 35 years now. If it works for you, utilize it. Go there. They recommend you do the 90-90, which is your first 90 days of sobriety. Do 90 meetings, one a day. Find somebody who you can work with, a sponsor. If you want to try a different method, you can try my methods. My methods are through the camera. It's through my websites. It's through my Facebook pages, my groups, my articles, my videos. Those are my methods. Talking to you right now is my method, because I am so selfish that when I help you, I am helping myself. Or I'm so selfish when I'm helping myself, I'm helping you. It is us as a community, you and I, and these folks, and yesterday's movies, and tomorrow's celebrities. It is all of us as a community coming together to fight this. So try my method. Go to www.clearviews.info or go to www.clearreform.com. Go to Facebook. You can find me there too. So you can try my methods. You can try AA. If you don't trust yourself and you feel that you need supervision, go check in a rehab. If you go to clearviews.info on page 7, I have every state listed. Click on the state you live in, and possibly you'll find a rehab center within your community. But if not, just go to Google, into the search bar, put down rehab and treatment center, and then put your area down. But a treatment center is really good for someone that needs to have the 24/7 dedication on just your addiction. It's kind of like The Biggest Loser, where they all show up for the camp and they train 24 hours a day, and look at the end result. Well, look at it in that fashion. If you check into a treatment center and you do 30, 60, and 90 days of continuous 24-hour sobriety and working with and learning how to live sober, you'll come out a better person. But caution, when you come out, don't think everything is just fixed. You need to, 24 hours at a time, day by day, continually educate yourself. You need to constantly think about your addiction and work with it. You don't have to work around your addiction, you work with it. Working with it would be to find things to do, to-do lists, hobbies, sports, go to movies, treat yourself. But folks, treatment center does really work. And they do take insurances. And they also take Medicaid, most of them. And if you don't have either and you're financially challenged, go onto your state's website and see what the state has to offer. I know for a fact that I was able to find something for a person that I know up north in New Hampshire, but it didn't work out for this person because the treatment that they were offering wasn't what this person was looking for. Speaking of people, hope my friend way up north is doing fine. I'm proud of you. Keep going. Today is Tuesday. It's a day after Labor Day. I hope you didn't run into any roadblocks during the weekend. I do keep track of you daily via Facebook, so I think you're doing very well and continuously go on the course that you're doing. And even though you've had a bump in the road or two, you've picked yourself up, you took your self-inventory, you know that your body cannot stand the alcohol as much anymore, and as you mature in your recovery, you'll find out that your body doesn't even want any of it, nor does your body need it at that point anymore. So congratulations. For all my other friends that have reached out to me for help, I hope everybody's doing fine. I hope you get some sort of educational feedback from this video. And the only educational feedback really that you can get, other than the fact that you realize that there are athletes that are also suffering out there, is on some of the different stimulants and relaxants and masking pain drugs that are out there and what they do and how they can hurt you as well. Information that I do supply, because I will never just talk about names and what their stories are. I will always talk about names and their stories and give you something in counteraction, or what led them, or how did they end up. Because no matter what drugs that they took and got suspended or possibly overdosed, those drugs have a consequence that comes with them. It's not just to make you high, it's to possibly kill you or get you addicted. So folks, honestly, you need to, if you want to, learn how to fight with your addiction. You need to start today. Today being September 2nd. Can't believe we're in September already. But those are the 3 methods. But I always say to everyone, no matter which method you choose to go, you need to include your higher power. My higher power is God. I've said this story over and over to you folks about how I believe I ended up in this position today as a recovery coach. It all started in 1981 when the chaplain asked me to become a lay leader. And lay leader is someone between, it's a liaison, a mediator between the recruits and the chaplains. So I became a lay leader during 1981 all the way to 2011. I ruined my life with alcoholism. And when I say ruin my life, I was still functioning. I was still being a good person, within the community, but ruining my life meaning inside my body. I was ruining my inside body, and of course my personality and my moods, due to my alcoholism, hurt many people along the way. Thank God I didn't hurt people to the point where they no longer are around me, but I hurt enough and enough people. So God let me ruin my life all the way to 2011, and God tried again and said, Ralph, try helping people again, because you are put on this earth to help people. And that's what I personally believe. And when I say help people, it's because I do love to talk to people. I like to motivate people. I like to encourage people. I like to always show people the positive and plus signs in life, instead of dwelling on the negativity or the negative signs. So in 2011, I formed outreach called Mastic Beach Outreach 2011.com. And what that was is for the elders and the mentally and physically challenged people. I would go and either supply clothing, or in one case we supplied some tires to an older man who didn't have money, or supplying food, where my wife and I would cook food and bring it to people that didn't have food. But that was still not enough for me and for God, because in 2011 I was still drinking, and probably drinking at my highest rates. From 2011 until 2013, God continuously let me slide further and further down in the pit, to the point where I was drinking 10 to 15 vodkas a day, and I'm talking about the shot vodkas. Because mind you, I was a closet drinker, so I couldn't walk around with big bottles or keep them in the house, so I had to hide them small enough. So 2013, June 22nd, I finally hit rock bottom. And it is then where God pulled me up and finally said, mission accomplished. Because you've always had it in you to help people. But you can't help people if you can't help yourself. And today, June 22nd, 2013, Ralph, this is God telling me, you have finally helped yourself by admitting that you have a problem, and you've reached out to me and to other support units. So in 2013, I hit rock bottom, and that's where my sobriety, my journey of sobriety started. I took my life back like I can help you take your life back. June 22nd, 2013. After that, in 2014, I ran across a person named Dr. Luis Gonzalez from Starting Point at startingpointmn.com. I've been toying with the idea of becoming a substance abuse counselor. This is prior to meeting Dr. Luis Gonzalez. Then, this is right before now, meeting him, I thought, well, I am almost equivalent to like a coach of a baseball or hockey team, where I encourage my players, I motivate them. So I came across a title, and that was called a addiction recovery coach, and I thought to myself, well, I think I would make a better addiction recovery coach than a substance abuse counselor, because substance abuse counselors dwell on what the reason that they are today, what caused it from the past, and I am a strict believer on working on today and tomorrow. Strictly today more than anything, 24 hours. So when I ran into Dr. Luis Gonzalez, and I decided to take his program, of his educational program that he offers at Starting Point, I started my career in addiction recovery coaching. My father came to visit maybe about a month into my training, and we were looking at my what my wife chooses to call my Marine Corps shrine, which is in a bedroom on the wall. Maybe on my next show I'll show you. I think you've seen it in some of my videos. And there's a medal in a little, I have a lot of medals, but there's a little medal in a little clear box. And my father asked me, what is that medal for? And it is right there and then that it finally all came together. That's when God showed me the bigger picture, which he wasn't showing me before. Because remember, up until June 22nd, 2013, even if he would have shown it to me, I wouldn't have understood it, because I was so intoxicated all the time. It finally came together when I explained to my father about that medal, which is a lay leader medal that I received in 1981. It came together what God's plans were for me. Back in 1981, he knew already that in 2014 I would become a master addiction recovery coach. He knew in 1981 that I had it in me to work with people, to motivate people, to encourage people, to show people the right path in life. He knew that in 1981, but he had to wait until I ruined my life to a point where I finally came and admit that I have a problem, and cleansed me in 2013 and made me who I am today. That is my story. And folks, every person out there has a story. It doesn't have to be a story like that. It could be any story. But every human has a story from start to finish. We as humans are equivalent to a book. My introduction to my book was in 1961, October 31st. That was my birth. Then there were a lot of chapters as I grew up. Then in 1979, the chapter was graduating high school. Then another chapter was going to college. Then another chapter was going in the Marine Corps. Then another chapter was becoming a lay leader. Fast forward through the book to another chapter in 2011, helping the elders and the mentally and physically challenged. Fast forward again in the book to 2013 of my complete meltdown and admitting that I had an alcohol problem. Fast forward to 2014. Now this book is only, hopefully, not even 3/4 finished. I hope to God that I'll be around to finish this whole book. Well, no matter which way you look at it, let's say, hypothetically, if I died 10 years from now, my book would be finished. But I hope my book still has many chapters with many good stories to come. And I hope your book, your story, has a lot of good chapters. Every book, including your book of your life, has a beginning. And every book, like your book in life, will have an end. It's what's between the beginning and the end which is most meaningful. Every book might start off very rocky. Chapter by chapter might be just a total disgrace. But as the book goes from beginning towards the middle, towards the end, and the stories become better, and the results become better, as long as the book at the end, the last chapter of the book, is a happy, good, well-balanced ending, then you have succeeded in life. But if your book started off and it was rocky and rocky and rocky and rocky, and then in the middle it became rockier, then became even rockier, and then at the end was the worst, like in some of their stories here in these particular individuals. I mean, let's take Derek Bogard. His beginning in his book was great. I mean, all the way from, let's say, if he was born in 70 and then until 2008, he had that back injury. Now his book, the chapter is becoming a little shaky because now he's starting the addiction with the painkillers because of his back injury. And then towards the end of his life, end of his book, it was an overdose. Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, same endings. Let your book, your journey in life, your chapters get better as people read them. That's the only way I can explain how a life is. So if your book right now has rockiness, has some sad things, has some bad things, and some really bad things, you can change the next chapter. But you're going to have to put the pen down that wrote all the bad things and get yourself a new pen with new ink with a different color and continue your book. Let the next chapter be better, and let your end, whenever it might be the best ending. So when you leave your book of life behind for your children, your grandchildren to actually look at after you're gone and I'm gone, they can see that your life became better and better and better, and that your ending was a good ending. Don't let your ending be a bad ending. Don't let it become like one of these athletes or celebrities that we speak about. So folks, include your higher power. That's all I can say. Let's just recap on this. And it was Michael Phelps and 9 others. I'm going to go over their names and we're going to just go over what they did. We know Doc Ellis. He was with the San Diego Padres in the 70s. All-star baseball player. Darryl Strawberry, Mets player. I believe he also played in Florida for a little bit. He can hit the ball out of the stadium. Problem is, when you're on drugs and alcohol, or you abuse people, doesn't matter what you can do professionally. It doesn't. You're no exception. Derek Bogard, hockey player, well known to be an enforcer. Back injury 2008. Doctor gives him painkillers. He becomes addicted to them. End of story. He overdoses. The end of his book shows an overdose. The end of Darryl Strawberry's book is, or I should say the 3/4 through Darryl Strawberry's book is terrible. Let's hope he turns around and puts his last chapter, whenever it might be in his life, to be a good ending. Michael Phelps, Olympic swimmer, 8 gold medals, famous for the Bong picture, suspended. Kellogg's dropped him. Diego Maradona, considered one of the best soccer players of all times, up there with the Pelés. Andre Agassi, married to Brooke Shields at one time, I think. And Steffi Graf. I'm not sure about Brooke Shields, or was that John McEnroe? No, I think it was Andre. Well, email me if you know the answer. clearreform@yahoo, or text me 631-599-0218. Josh Hamilton, overall pick, first overall pick, Tampa Bay Devil Rays baseball team. Ricky Williams, great football player. Had he not done the drugs, his potentials would have been up there with the O.J. Simpsons. He wore many hats. He was vegan, yoga instructor, but the most lethal hat he wore was a pothead hat. Say that 10 times quick. Dwight Gooden threw unbelievable curveballs and speedballs. Great beginning of his life, great beginning of his book. Towards the middle chapters, spiraled out of control. Up until 2010, he still had issues. Driving under the influence of cocaine with a child in his car. Attempted suicide. His wife found a gun, loaded gun next to while he passed out in bed, right next to in his hand, by his head. Len Bias, he would have possibly been the best basketball player ever to live had he reached his potential. Overdose. End of his book. End of his life. Don't let your book have an ending like some of these guys. No matter how bad your book is right now, if you're watching me today, September 2nd, 2014, no matter how bad your book is, you can change the next chapter. You can change every chapter from this point on. You just need to admit you have a problem, and you need to change, and you need to live with addiction. Do you remember that one thing I read to you? And I'm going to ask you this question. If I could give you a pill that guarantees you a championship, but also gives you a good chance of dying, would you take that pill? Well, back in 1967, a Dr. Merkin asked this question, and over half the people that responded to his survey said they would take this pill. They would risk their lives for a championship. You get the championship and your book looks good, your middle chapters, but when you overdose, it's a bad ending in your book. Why some athletes use drugs? They face enormous pressures. Because you got to remember, athletes are not just there because of their athletic talents. They become sponsors in life, such as UNICEF, United Children, all these different things, social areas, and now they're becoming huger than just their athletic abilities on the court in the baseball stadium, in a hockey rink. They become role models. But what kind of role model does drugs? That's what I've always talked about in your home. You're a role model, you, parent, mother, dad, grandparent. You are like these athletes. What athlete is a role model if they're being arrested for doing drugs or being arrested for domestically abusing? Well, that is equivalent to you, folks. If you're a role model that smokes, drinks, uses profanity, and beats on your spouse, you are not a role model. You're setting the stage. You're pushing your child to doing all that. It is tough enough when you are a perfect role model for your child to go out on his or her own one day. And chances are, if you are a perfect role model, that your child will be in a much better situation. But if you're a bad role model and your child still has to go out there, you've already set the stage for the end of your child's book. Help write your child's book of life. Help your child. You've already created the first chapter in your child. That's giving birth to your child. You can create the next few chapters to be good by being a good role model, so your child is being brought up the right way. Then as the child leaves home, the rest of the chapters will be written by your child. But wouldn't it be great to know that you wrote the first chapter through chapter 10 or chapter 15 or chapter 18? Let's say for every 1 year there's a chapter. So until your child leaves at 18, you wrote the first 18 chapters, and they're all good chapters. And wouldn't it be great if when your child leaves at 18, that the rest of their chapters become good and the ending is thanking you for being a good role model? Or would you want your child after 18 to leave and then saying at the end of the book, like they do on Jerry Springer and like they do on Murray and Steve Wilkos, that they say it was because of my parents I ended up this way, and they write that in their ending of their book in life? I know the examples I'm giving are a little harsh, but it's so true that it all starts in your home with a well-balanced life. Stay away from the alcohol, stay away from the drugs, stay away from the beta blockers, stay away from the cannabinoids, stay away from the diuretics, stay away from all that. It's just not worth it. Start today, because I promise you, with a sober today, you will have a better tomorrow. But the thing is you have to admit you have a problem, and you have to believe it in here that you can do it. A lot of people are afraid to try sobriety because they're afraid they can't do it. But folks, if I could have done it after drinking 10 to 15 shots of vodka a day religiously, then anyone can do it. But it has to start within the heart and in here. Because if you, in combination with those two and your higher power, you can make this happen. It starts with, I have a problem, and it continues with, I have a problem every 24 hours. If you admit that to yourself, you don't have to go around advertising that. And adapting a method that works for you. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if it's my methods, AA, treatment centers. At the end of the day, sobriety is the end result that you're looking for. We're at an hour again, so I need to cut this again. Unfortunately, I'm limited on time usually, but I will tell you, I could speak on and on about this issue of drug abuse and alcohol abuse in the United States and globally. I could do this on over and over, and from minute to hour to days. But I will tell you this, if you have a sober today, you will have a better tomorrow. Just try being sober for one day. See how you feel. Then try it for another day and see how you feel. And if you do it in 24-hour increments, you'll see it will work. And educate yourself. Get a hold of Dr. Luis Gonzalez if you want help between your addiction and recovery. 844-414-8444. Dr. Luis Gonzalez from Starting Point. If you need my help, you can email me at clearreform@yahoo, or you can text me 631-599-0218. You can call me at 844-405-HELP. You can also go to my websites, www.clearviews.info and www.clearreform.com. You can go to all my pages on Facebook, which is Clear Reform, and clearviews.info. You can also join our open group now at Clear Reform. You can Twitter at me, you can Google me, you can dig me, you can do a lot. But it all comes down to you getting a hold of me or Dr. Luis Gonzalez, whoever else you need to get a hold of to reach your goal of sobriety. Folks, I hope you let a lot of sunshine into your home and into your heart. Put yourself in the area of positive reinforcement. If you're around negative people, you get negative results. Put yourself around positive people, you get positive results. I hope everybody has a great day, and more importantly, I hope you have a sober day, and God bless you.